Good afternoon, everyone, and don't worry, I'm going to speak in English just so that everyone can understand me. As Rowan said, I'm the Corporate Service Officer in the Heritage Council, but part of my role is that I'm the Irish Language Officer for the organisation. So I'm going to speak a little bit about what we do and promoting our work through Irish, how the Irish language fits in nicely with this year's theme for Heritage Week. I'll explain a little bit about the Official Languages Act of 2021, and then I'll just talk briefly about running events in the Irish language. I'll be very brief. I won't keep you long because I know you've had a long day here. So in the Heritage Council, our remit covers promoting heritage, advising on heritage, education, but we don't have direct remit for promoting the Irish language. That responsibility lies with another department, but we do feel that as the Heritage Council, that Irish is part of our heritage and that it is within our responsibility to promote every aspect of our heritage. So living heritage is the theme of this year's Heritage Week, as you've heard many times today. And the Irish language it's one of the oldest recorded languages in Europe. It was recorded as far back as 5th century AD on Ogham stones. But it's also a living language, and it's spoken widely throughout Ireland today. The 2016 census recorded that 1.7 million people in Ireland are Irish speakers. And if you're thinking that you're from a county that doesn't have a Gaeltacht and therefore running an event through Irish isn't applicable to you, those 1.7 million people who are Irish speakers are spread throughout the country. Only 63,000 of those people live in Gaeltacht areas. I'm from County Kilkenny myself, which isn't an Irish-speaking stronghold. So regardless of where you're from in the country, there are Irish speakers in your counties and in your communities. So a little bit about this act, which doesn't affect you particularly as community groups, but it does affect us as a public body. So the Official Languages Amendment Act was signed into law in 2021. There has been an Official Languages Act in Ireland since 2003, and this puts onus on public bodies to deliver services through Irish. The 2021 Act has put the onus on public bodies to, I suppose, up their game a bit when it comes to delivering services through Irish. And part of the Act, or the most prominent part of the Act, focuses on media and advertising. And since the start of this year, you may have noticed more ads on the English language media, the radio and the television, that are through Irish. I certainly hear one at least once a day on the radio on my commute to work. And this is because public bodies are now required to have 20% of their advertising in the Irish language and spend 5% of their advertising budget on Irish language advertising through Irish language media. So Irish language media is the likes of TG Ceathair, Radio na Gaeltachta, some of the online publications. So how this is going to affect Heritage Week is that all of our blogs, social media posts, our advertising is going to be bilingual. It was last year as well. We just didn't highlight it as much, but this year our websites are completely bilingual, and as much information as possible that we put out in the public domain is going to be in both languages. Now, the event information that you're all going to put on our Heritage Week website for your own events, you're going to put that on in whatever language you choose. So be it Irish or English, it's up to yourselves. But we're going to be obliged to translate some of it, at least 20% of it. So we're going to do that in the background. You don't have to worry about that. If you're running your event through Irish and you put your information on the website in Irish, that's fantastic, but there's no obligation to do so. So I'm not an ideas person. You're all the experts in your locality and in how to run events. But I've come up with a few small ideas that that are easy to incorporate into your events. They may be events that you're running anyway. If you have Irish speakers in your community or in your community group and you wish to run an event through Irish, we would very much welcome that. So these are just 5 small ideas. So tours as Gaeilge. We have a beautiful old building in Kilkenny that we work in. It's about 700 years old. So we offer guided tours during Heritage Week, and we will have tours through English, and we'll have separate tours through Irish throughout Heritage Week. Ceol and Kaint is, music is an event that requires very little language. So people who have a lot of Irish or a little Irish or none at all can get involved in a musical event, and a few words spoken through Irish in an event, I'm sure will be very welcome in your communities. Scéalaíocht and storytelling. A lot of you have mentioned storytelling and the likes of the Folklore Commission when you've been speaking in your groups today. So a lot of our older stories would have been recorded initially in the Irish language and subsequently translated into English. So reviving storytelling through Irish could be something that you could do in your communities. I know from looking at the Schools Folklore Commission website that I've noticed that some schools in County Kilkenny, which as I said isn't an Irish stronghold, the schools in the 1930s recorded their stories for the Folklore Commission in Irish, and they'd be in areas that aren't Irish speaking anymore. So maybe your community is a community that was an Irish speaking community 100 years ago and is no longer so today. Someone mentioned place names earlier on. The Loganmilka website is a fantastic website for explaining where place names got their names, and the Irish name and the English name, and it's really interesting just to read that website. And the Irish name of a place often describes what that place is, and some of that meaning has been lost in translation as place names have been translated into Irish. So researching your own communities and the folklore and the place names might be something that you could link into running an event through Irish or bilingually. The last 2 then, historical walks and biodiversity walks. These are common events in Heritage Week, and they may be the kind of event that you're thinking of running anyway. And doing a bilingual event or an event in either language where you explain the different words in Irish and English, I'm sure will be very welcome amongst the Irish speakers in your community as well. The National Biodiversity Data Centre produce lovely little swatches on different types of species, and the names of the species are in Irish and English in those swatches. So if you have one and you're out for a walk anyway, and you're looking at ladybirds or butterflies or whatever, just look out for the Irish name on the swatch. So I forgot to put my contact details on the last slide, but I can be contacted just by phone in the office, the Heritage Council office. My contact details are on our website. If you're looking to find out more about are there Irish speaking groups in your communities, Conradh na Gaeilge and Gaeling are fantastic organisations that have groups in many counties throughout the country. So I would encourage you to get in contact with them. If you want more information about running events through Irish, you can contact me in the Heritage Council. So that's very short. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take them.